Welcome back. Today we're doing something a little different. We're taking one clean idea, the bow and arrow theory, and we're going to see how far it reaches. Not as a fluffy metaphor, but as a mechanic, a repeatable sequence. And with me is Dev, who's been nerding out with me about how this shows up everywhere, including in old god stories. Yeah, and I love this topic because it sounds simple at first, like, okay, bow, arrow, cool. But once you really sit with it, it's basically a full model for how pressure turns into change, personally and culturally.
All right, let's lay the foundation. The core claim is, reality often behaves like a bow and arrow system, meaning the thing that looks like it's holding you back might actually be the part storing the power.
Exactly. And the first principle is the one people fight the most. Resistance creates potential. A bow doesn't work until it's pulled. The tension isn't a design failure, it's the design.
So let's translate that into normal human language. If you're dealing with strain, pushback, doubt, friction, limits, loss, pressure, it feels like something's wrong. But in this model, that's stored energy. That's potential being packed in.
And if there's no pullback, you don't get force. No tension, no propulsion, which is annoying because we're basically trained to treat tension like an error message.
Then comes the second principle, and this one is a gut check. Direction matters more than force. You can pull a bow back like your life depends on it. But if you're not aiming, all that power just becomes messy.
Yeah. Raw intensity without aim turns into chaos, or burnout, or you lash out, or you sabotage yourself. People think the problem is they don't have enough energy, but sometimes they have too much undirected energy.
So in bow and arrow terms, aim comes from clarity, intent, values, alignment, and here's the brutal line. The arrow doesn't care how emotional you are, it only cares where you pointed it.
That line stings because it's true. Anger, motivation, passion, revenge, inspiration, none of that automatically makes the shot land. Aim does.
Okay, principle 3. Release isn't escape, it's conversion. Letting go isn't the same as quitting. Release is the moment the stored tension becomes motion.
Right. It's like phase change. What was internal becomes external. What was pressure becomes trajectory. If you release too early, you basically wasted the pullback. If you never release, you don't get a shot at all. You just snap under the load.
Timing is everything. That's the whole thing. Because people tend to swing between two extremes, panic release or never release.
And principle 4 is the hard spiritual one. Even if we keep it mechanical, the arrow can't fly if you won't let go. You can't keep holding the bow forever with the arrow loaded. Eventually control has to end and trust has to start.
And that's where faith shows up, not as a vibe, but as commitment. Once you release, the arrow is governed by physics, not your feelings about it.
Which is terrifying because after release, you don't get to micromanage reality into behaving.
Principle 5. The further the pullback, the further the flight. This is the one people miss. If you're being pulled back hard, it tends to come with more resistance, more pressure, more self-questioning.
But if the aim is right and the release is real, that extra pullback becomes distance. The system doesn't waste tension, it multiplies it.
Principle 6 gets misread constantly. Missed shots aren't failure. If you miss, the bow still works. The mechanism still works. A miss teaches you what you didn't know about your aim, your stance, your timing. Failure in this model is basically two things. You stop pulling back, meaning you avoid resistance forever, or you refuse to release, so nothing ever converts into action. Principle 7. This isn't just about personal development quotes. It applies to everything. Growth, business, art, relationships, truth, power, history, revolutions. Breakthrough tend to follow a sequence. Resistance, storage, alignment, release, impact.
And principle 8 is why it matters. A lot of systems teach you to avoid resistance, numb tension, medicate the pullback, or fear the release. And that produces weak arrows. The bow and arrow theory says the resistance isn't a flaw, it's the mechanism.
Then principle 9 is the one I think people need when they're in the darkest part of it. You're not broken, you're drawn back. If you feel constrained, pressured, misunderstood, yanked away from where you thought you were going, that doesn't automatically mean you're off course.
It might mean you're in the draw. And instead of asking, why is this happening to me? The better question is, okay, where am I aiming?
All right, that's the personal framework. Now let's do the second half. Mapping this onto God's stories across cultures. And I want to be clear about the angle here, because it's easy to get weird about myth.
Totally. The approach is, treat myth as a description of a machine. A consistent engine ancient people noticed in nature, psyche, and society. Not just, oh, it's symbolic, but what's the repeatable pattern?
So here's the bow and arrow key for myths. Step 1, pullback. That shows up as compression, captivity, exile, suffering, restraint.
Step 2, stored power. That's the vow, the charge, the hidden knowledge, the divine energy building under pressure. Step 3, aim, the alignment, mission, prophecy, oath, justice, balance.
Step 4, release. The event where everything converts into action.
Step 5, flight. Consequences, transformation, the whole arc of creation or destruction unfolding.
Step 6, impact. The world changes. Order gets restored or shattered or replaced. And step 7, recoil or reset. Sacrifice, death and rebirth. New cycle. The system loads again.
Once you have that template, you start seeing the same engine everywhere.
Let's do examples. Greek first. Zeus versus Kronos. How does the pullback show up?
Kronos swallowing his children is basically maximum compression. Potential gets trapped. Power gets forced inward. That's the pullback phase on a cosmic scale.
And stored power?
Zeus is hidden and raised in secret. So the energy is conserved, matured out of sight. That stored force growing quietly. Aim. Reclaiming order, the rightful structure. Release. War, the titanomachy. Impact. The old order falls and a new reign begins.
The literal read is pretty blunt. Oppression creates stored force. Hidden development becomes overthrow.
Prometheus is another Greek one. What's the pullback there?
Prometheus is chained to a rock, punished over and over. That's sustained restraint. The tension is held in place.
And the stored power is interesting because it's not like he's gathering weapons. The power is the fact that the gift already happened, the fire and knowledge delivered, and now the system pushes back.
Yeah, the backlash is proof the transfer worked. Aim, uplifting humankind. Release shows up later through liberation cycles, like Heracles freeing him. The mechanism says, when you give power away, the system that benefited from you not doing that will create pullback.
Norse myths. Odin. People love Odin because it's basically self-inflicted pullback.
Odin hangs himself on Yggdrasil, sacrifices an eye. That's voluntary compression. Then stored power becomes the runes, concentrated knowledge. Aim is wisdom to hold order against fate's chaos. Release is him using that knowledge, binding forces, shaping outcomes, winning wars.
So the literal read is chosen, sacrifice increases perception, and perception changes what you can do in reality.
Thor is cleaner in terms of mechanics. Pullback is duty, restraint, the boundaried nature of his strength, worthiness, obligation. Stored power is the hammer, force held in a contained form that returns. Aim, defend Midgard against chaos. Release, the strike. Impact, order restored, but only temporarily, because the cycle keeps coming until Ragnarok.
And Loki is basically the warning label on the system.
Yeah, pullback. Loki is bound under the earth. Stored power, resentment plus intelligence plus unresolved chaos building. Aim, break order. Release, triggering Ragnarok. Literal read. If chaos is only suppressed and never integrated or resolved, release becomes catastrophic. Egyptian arc. Osiris, Isis, Horus. What's the pullback in that story?
Osiris gets killed and scattered. Isis searches. Horus grows up in hiding. That's disassembly, exile, concealment, the maximum drawback.
Stored power becomes restoration and legitimacy building over time, plus vengeance and purpose concentrating. Aim, reclaim the throne from Set. Release, Horus confronting Set. Impact, kingship restored, might reaffirmed.
The literal read is strong. Death and disassembly are the extreme pullback. Reassembly is stored force. The air becomes the arrow. Hindu examples. Shiva first.
Shiva is the pullback as stillness, containment. Meditation isn't inaction, it's held power. Stored power is tapas, inner heat, cosmic charge. Aim is balance between creation and destruction. Release is destruction that clears corruption so renewal can happen.
So the literal mechanism. Stillness stores energy and destruction isn't automatically evil. It's the release that makes new creation possible.
And Kali or Durga fits the corrective force pattern. Pullback, oppression or imbalance in the world. Stored power, the divine feminine power being summoned and concentrated. Aim, remove corruption. Release, violent correction. Impact, balance restored.
So when imbalance draws reality back far enough, the correction emerges as a release.
Exactly. Now the Abrahamic and Near Eastern patterns. Moses. What's the pullback?
Slavery is the collective pullback, tension across a whole people. Then wilderness exile is another compression phase. It's pressure that forges structure.
Stored power becomes mandate, law, identity. The whole people shaping process under strain. Aim. Liberation and covenant. Release. Exodus. Impact. A new nation and new order.
Literal red. Oppression stores communal energy. Leadership functions like the bow. The people become the arrow.
And Jesus, treated as mechanism rather than argument. Pullback looks like betrayal, humiliation, crucifixion, maximum tension.
Stored power becomes the way the message spreads under pressure, that amplification effect. Martyr force, you could call it. Aim, transformation of humanity. Release, resurrection narrative plus the launch of the movement. Impact, massive world system shift.
The literal red is almost ironic. The system tries to neutralize a perceived threat by killing it, and that creates the very kinetic spread it feared.
Yeah, it's the bow snapping forward.
Last category, Mesoamerican or Indigenous patterns. Staying general, not pretending we're naming one tribe's story perfectly. The Quetzalcoatl, culture bringer kind of arc.
Pullback is exile or withdrawal of the bringer. Stored power is the promise of return and the knowledge that's been seeded. Aim is civilizing or restoring balance. Release is a return cycle, the renewal story. And the literal read is, withdrawal is pullback, return is release, and people become the arrow carrying the knowledge forward through time.
So what's the punchline across all of it?
That these stories aren't random. They're humans describing a repeatable law. Pressure creates power. Containment stores it. Alignment directs it. Release converts it. Impact changes the world. And then the cycle repeats.
And the gods in these stories, in this reading, are basically names for forces. Forces of nature, forces inside psychology, forces in societies, forces in time.
Which means the bow and arrow theory isn't just a motivational idea. It's a unified mechanic underneath mythology itself.
Before we wrap, I want to bring it back to the listener for a second. If you're in a pullback season, tight budget, tight timeline, tight relationship, internal doubt, external opposition, this model doesn't ask you to pretend it's fun.
It just asks you to treat it as energy being stored, and then to do the hard part. Aim. Because if you don't decide where you're pointing, life will happily spend that energy in random directions.
And when it's time to release, don't confuse release with running away. Release can be the application, the conversation, the launch, the breakup, the apology, the boundary, the decision, the move, the actual moment that converts inner tension into outer motion.
And if you miss, you didn't prove the system is broken. You just got data. You refine the aim. You keep the bow intact.
Let's end on the simplest version of the question. Not why is this happening to me, but where am I aiming?
And maybe right behind it, what am I refusing to release?
That's the episode. We'll be back soon. And if you want us to run a full myth decoder template on specific stories, Greek, Norse, Egyptian, Hindu, anything, pick a few and we'll do it.